Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Let's Dev, where today we continue working on our long-term open-ended survival RPG. Now, last time we set up the foundation of our project with a basic attack system and a less basic system for grabbable objects. The system included the ability to not only grab and place objects, but also throw them. Both systems were designed to hopefully be universal, but today we're not focusing on universal. Today's plan is focused directly on the player. We'll be experimenting with a toggle system for targeting those grabbable objects we created last time. This will be done by creating and maintaining a DS list for grabbable objects, and using said DS list to power a functioning toggle system for nearby grabbable objects. I promised we'd start sprinting as soon as possible, and this definitely ain't gonna be a cakewalk. So let's not waste any more time and get to the coding. To start, we were going to need a DS list, which I named item list. Not the best name, I'll admit. Then I set up a new distance check for nearby grabbables in the player code. Any grabbables within range would be added to our new DS list if they aren't already. And if they're out of range, their entries in the list would be deleted. Well, this was the plan anyway, and as you can see, it wasn't working. So going back to the code, I made the list checks for object entries booleans. This would fix things by clamping down on duplicate entries and proper handling for deleted entries. And as you can see to the left of the screen, as we walk around, our list is populated and depopulated with various object IDs. This is exactly what we needed, so we could now move on to toggling through our list. We would first need a new variable dedicated to keeping track of this toggle. Then for visual purposes, I added a little arrow that would appear above our currently chosen object. Back in the player code, I once again checked for nearby grabbable objects. If we hadn't set a target yet, we'd set the nearest object to the player as our target. Next, I thought about using a switch based on our target's object's position in the list, but ended up going with a conditional instead. The idea here was to shift through the list of IDs by list position until we hit the end, where we'd reset the position to 0 and continue shifting. And long story short, I ended up accidentally confusing myself. Basically, I kept assuming the grab target was a position number when in reality it was the object's ID. So basically, I was just shifting through literal ID numbers. All I actually had to do was locate the list position of our current target and pass on its index. And from there, I could shift through the list like I had planned. This unfortunate brain fart ended up taking me quite a bit of time to figure out, but seeing that little arrow jump through a pile of grabbable objects was kinda magical. So with the remaining time I had left, I wanted to tackle one last thing before calling it for this session. I wanted to make sure that grabbed objects weren't part of our list. So in the player code, when an object is grabbed, I do a check for the ID in our list and delete it. Then, to prevent it from being re-added, I had the code check its state. If the object is grabbed, we would skip adding it to the list. Finally, we would then reset the grabbable target. And there we had it, a toggle system that would just shift through a list of objects while excluding a currently grabbed object. Now, the system isn't perfect, it currently doesn't update properly, so sometimes objects outside of the grabbing radius can be targeted, but considering I have never done something like this before, I think this was pretty successful. And there is so much I want to do with this system, so it's gonna be important that we get this right. But for now, that'll do it for this episode of Let's Delve. So leave a like if you enjoyed the episode, subscribe and turn on notifications if you haven't already, and leave your thoughts on our progress in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.